All right, I'm pleased to be joined next by the president of the PGA Tour champions, Miller Brady. And, this is a cool time of the year because we've got the playoff finale coming up at Phoenix Country Club, Charles Schwab Cup. We've also got the schedule released for 2026. So a lot happening. Miller, how are things going, man?
Yeah, Garrett, thanks for having me. Yeah, you're right. A really busy time of the year, and I'll even add some things to it. So, we have the Schwab Cup Championship coming up in a week and a half, Phoenix Country Club. So we're super excited to finish our season and to end it on a great note there in Phoenix. You have five guys right now that have a chance to win the Schwab Cup trophy. It's interesting because Jimenez, is pretty much leading the entire year and gets overtaken this past week when Stephen Alker wins at the second playoff event. So, um, look, Stephen loves this time of year, so he's hard to beat right now. But we'll see what happens here in a couple of weeks. So you got that coming up. You're right. We just released our schedule earlier this week, and then next week we have what we call annual tournament meetings here in Ponte Vedra. So all of our tournament directors and their staff are coming here for 3 days of meetings. So a lot going on.
Totally, totally. Yeah, well, and you even just talked about Miguel Angel Jimenez and just what he's done this season. I spoke with Jason Karen in Richmond, and I asked him about Miguel Angel. He said that he had been studying his chipping for the last few months, and he was able to ask him some questions a month or two ago. And they're able to share notes and talk about different ways they practice. Describe that a little bit. You're out there every week on the PGA Tour Champions. What is that kind of balance of camaraderie and competition like?
Yeah, well, look, everybody wants their other player to do well, right? That you want to beat them when you're on the golf course, but you also want to help them improve their game. So you'll see that all the time, whether it's a little chipping lesson. I think I saw a putting lesson that a player was giving another player a couple weeks ago, or maybe even a bunker lesson. Um, they help each other out, right? And they're friendly off the golf course, going to dinners, hanging out in the evening. Um, they're friendly up until the point when they're competing inside the ropes.
Yes. Well, speaking of friendly and dinners and stuff, I know the drawings parties are always great. Like the guys bring so much energy to that. I know in St. Louis particular, that's one of those where you see that. Can you paint a picture of how laid back and relational the Ernie Els and some of these guys are like at these drawing parties? How would you paint the picture?
Yeah, I mean, look, at our draw parties, we probably average, call it somewhere between 15 and 20, maybe 25 players that, they'll attend every single week. They know the importance of being there, that they get to hang out with these amateurs who may or may not be playing with them tomorrow, but they'll just roam the room and they'll carry on conversations. They'll tell stories of their PJ Tour days. They'll tell stories of their Champions Tour days, and they may make fun of each other at the same time. So I think it's great that our players completely understand how important the two Pro-Am days are, because without those 2 days, we probably don't have a tour, and our players are really good with that.
Well, I like that you went that way with that because I know in the past you've mentioned that playing in a pro-am with these PGA Tour Champions players is hands down, in your opinion, the best business to business relationship in all of sports. And I'm curious, like, what makes you say that?
Yeah, look, I say it all the time. You can't play basketball on the same court with Michael Jordan, right? You can't go, hit a baseball with a professional baseball player all the time, or you're never going to want to get on the football field with any of those guys. But you can go on the same venue, play golf with these Hall of Famers like Ernie Els, and it works because the player they're meeting four new friends, right? They understand that these guys paid money to be there, or they're invited by the title sponsor, and without all of that, they probably aren't able to compete that week. So, look, we're fortunate that our guys understand and they get it. They're a little bit older in their life. They've been around business people. They're not really intimidated. They can carry the conversations. Um, and I've always said it. I'm very bullish that it is the best B2B in all of sports, and it'll continue to be that way.
Hmm. What's Ernie Els like to be around? Because I know I saw him in Richmond 2 weeks ago, and he was telling stories after the round, like on his own time, didn't care with a couple of the people he played with. Like it was just time didn't matter to him. So I'm just curious for you, like, what's it like to be around Ernie Els?
Look, Ernie is a great guy. Ernie loves to tell stories. Ernie can he can be very laid back and joking, but he can also be serious. And I like both sides of that with Ernie. And I had a conversation with him not too long ago, and I said, you know what, Ernie, I appreciate that you really care about this tour. You know, you're a Hall of Fame member. You come out here. You could have come out here, showed up, played in a pro-am, compete, and move on. But you didn't do that, and you haven't done that. You're on our player advisory council. You're a player director. You have opinions on how to make us better, which is great. Like he doesn't have to do that, but he does it because he cares, and he cares about the game. You know, not just for the Champions Tour, but just in general, he cares about the game. I'll tell you a quick story though.
Yeah.
Played in the Pro-Am in Dominion, like you're talking about. And on the final hole, if they make the putt, I think their Pro-Am group wins. So this guy, and they're filming it, guy makes the putt, turns around, runs to Ernie, and literally jumps in bear hug with Ernie. So when I see the video, I'm thinking, oh my God, don't hurt your back, right? He was okay.
We need you on Friday. Come on, buddy.
Right. Don't get hurt.
Yeah. Well, that's one of the superstars. I love that story. That's one of the superstars of PGA Tour champions. But I look at the guys in the top 36 that just got in, right? That were able to get into this final event now, secure status. Think about Boo Weekley at number 33 and what this means. A dream come true, as he talks about, to get this card again. He's battling back issues. What do you make of some of these storylines like the Boo Weekleys?
Yeah, look, I think Boo admitted like he had an up and down PGA Tour career where he had his card, he lost it for a little bit, he gained it back, he was able to play in a Ryder Cup, um, and then for us, he comes out with not a ton of eligibility, not fully exempt, so he was grinding pretty much all year, had good weeks, maybe not so good weeks, and then needed to finish off pretty strong this past week to finish in the top 36. Had the back issue. He didn't think he was going to be able to finish. We probably didn't either. But I'm glad he did. Look, Boo is great for us. He has a wonderful personality. He's really good in the pro-ams. We go back to the pro-am stories. He's really good in the pro-ams. He has a lot of stories to tell. So for Boo to be fully exempt next year, just really good for us.
Yeah, and there's some of the other guys I think about. Tim O'Neill at number 35. Tommy Gainey, rookie that won for the first time on this tour at age 50. He's number 36 getting in. He had such great sportsmanship with Dickie Pride, right? They had that exchange you guys had on the social media there after the finish. I mean, there's a lot of good names out there. These guys are working hard, huh?
Yeah, they are. And then obviously we have a ton of our Hall of Famers to finish in the top 36, whether it's, Bernhard Langer continues to play well, Vijay Singh, Retief Goosen, Ernie Els, Padraig Harrington. I mean, those right there, I'm sure I'm missing somebody, but that's 5 Hall of Fame members that remain very active on this tour, and they all finished in the top 36.
Totally. Well, and I look at the players that have gone through. I know Stephen Allen got a win. I want to ask you about the Aussies real quick. Cameron Percy's been the picture of consistency. Greg Chalmers is a great personality to have out there. There seems like this is as big of a contingent of Aussies as we've seen in a while. What do you make of these Aussies?
Yeah, look, I think that they probably saw some of their other Australian friends make it out here, and they're like, I'm going to go do the same thing. They hang out together in the evenings. They go to dinners. They have great camaraderie. And by the way, they're darn good golfers, right? I mean, Cameron Percy is going to win very soon. I mean, you're going to see that happen. And same thing with Chalmers. Like he's right there as well. And they're good for our tour. They're great people.
Well, another one that comes to mind too is our guy who just got into the World Champions Cup. Why am I Oh, Mark Hensby. Mark Hensby got in. He's going to be able to represent Australia. I talked to him in Richmond. He's like, man, I haven't been representing Australia since I played with John Senden in 2006 at one of the World Cups. This is amazing. So these guys are fired up. I'm just curious. I know it's not an official PGA Tour Champions event, but that Skechers World Champions Cup supporting Shriners Children coming up, and it's also on this upcoming schedule in 2026. How cool is that format for these guys?
Yeah, we played it 2 years ago at the concession club. We had to take a year off, and we're coming back this year. And I mean, you talked about it. So you have Team USA with Jim Furyk as your captain. You have Team International with Mike Weir as the captain, and then you got Team Europe with Darren Clark as the captain. 6 players on each team. They're all competing against each other. It's a points-based system, so every hole matters. I mean, it's fun. It's going to be at the Feather Sound Club in Clearwater, Tampa, first week of December. And I'll tell you what's interesting. The first year we played it, this event would not really be as successful as it's going to be if the players didn't buy in. So the coolest thing I saw in that first year was Colin Montgomery walks into his team room. He sees his team bag with his name on it, and he said, you know what? This is pretty awesome. I never thought I'd see my name on the team bag again. And that just told you that it's fun. It's a fun vibe. They want to represent their country and have a little fun at the same time. So it's pretty cool. We're excited about it.
Mm. Yeah, and a lot of other great, Europeans. Thomas Bjorn's going to be back out there. Justin Leonard, who's had a really good year, just winning recently in Richmond too. Second win, pretty exciting to see that as well. I also wanted to ask you, there's so many guys to look towards, on this. There's so much depth on this tour, but this is the year 2026, and you've been asked a million times about Tiger Woods. How excited are you of that prospect? I know he got to get better from injury, but what about that prospect of Tiger Woods?
Yeah, look, I mean, no doubt about it. Tiger turns 50 at the end of December. The prospect of him coming out and playing, one time, 2 times, 3 times on our tour is fantastic. Really, really excited about it. But then you take a step back and you're like, well, he just had back surgery. He's had a lot of issues over his career. What I keep saying is that I hope that he's healthy enough just to get back and play golf, even if he can't compete again. We definitely want him to come out and compete, but you want the guy to be healthy. But let's hope that he gets out and he wants to play a little bit on our tour because I think he would have a great time.
Hmm. If, and then we know it's a big if he were to able to get healthy enough, what kind of change would tournaments look like? Like how different would they look with Tiger Woods in the field potentially?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, we and the tournament would want as much notice as possible because you want to be able to promote the fact that he's going to play, which then impacts ticket sales. It impacts the security that you need and the concession stands and the porta potties and look, security, like everything just gets ramped up. The good news is we haven't just thought about this today. We've been thinking about it for a year. We have a plan in place that we work with the tournaments on should that come to fruition. So we're prepared and we're excited to think about what that can mean for us.
Yeah. Yeah, and you would hope he'd give you at least what, maybe not to the Friday before, right? Not the way he's committed in the past, right?
We don't look. I joked with somebody. I said if he commits the Friday before, that's probably not a good thing for that tournament. Right? There's way too much that needs to happen in a 3-day period. So hopefully he gives everybody a little bit of runway to find out when he would play.
Well, you'd have to print another 10,000 tickets and hire another 600 security guards overnight, right?
Yeah, no, it would be a monumental task.
Definitely. Well, I was going into just the depth of the PGA Tour champions a minute ago with some of the guys who've won. We think about Justin Leonard and Stephen Alker's playing well again here. I had a conversation with Ken Tanagawa a couple weeks ago, and he thinks when he came out in 2017, 2018, he thinks the competition now on the PGA Tour champions is stronger. It's harder to win now than it was even 7, 8 years ago. I'm curious what you think, Miller.
Yeah, I actually think that he's right. I mean, I think sort of top to bottom, the competition has gotten stronger. There are more guys that probably have the chance to win week in and week out than 10 years ago out here. And more guys are, I would say, healthy, in their early 50s. So yeah, I mean, it's definitely, to me, it's definitely a better competition than it's maybe ever been, with more guys having a chance to win.
Mhm. Well, even just looking at the playoffs. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
No, no, no. Go ahead. Mention the playoffs.
Yeah, even just looking at the playoffs, you have two starting fives of guys who didn't even make the playoffs. When you look at the Colin Montgomerys and the Rocco Mediates and Davis Loves and Jim Furyk's, I mean, there's just an all-star cast of guys that aren't even in that top 72, Miller. It's crazy.
Yeah, there are. And, some of those guys have battled some injuries this year. And we're hoping that they get healthy enough to come back full time next year. But to me, you have those guys that are really, really competitive, that always have a chance to win. And you have some guys that maybe are at the tail end of their career that may not have a chance to win, but they're still really, really important to our tour. And we want them out there, right? Because they're a great pro-am partner. They do a great job entertaining with our title sponsors. So whether or not they have a chance to win the tournament, they're still very important.
Big time. Yeah. And looking at this 2026 season that was just released on Tuesday of this week, you've got, of course, your three playoff events. You got the Stiefel Charity Classic is now leading those playoff events, the first playoff event now in St. Louis. You've got 25 regular season events. Kind of what's your overall take on how this looks? You've got two new events. What are your thoughts on the look of it?
Yeah, I'm very pleased with the way our schedule shaped out to be for 2026. We started the season in Hawaii at Hualalai, 30th anniversary of that tournament. Think about that for a second. Pretty cool. We've been at Hualalai for 30 straight years. And then, you run down the senior PGA, is going to be a concession club in Sarasota. Bradenton moves up earlier in our schedule. We go back to Morocco for the Trophy Hassan, which is going to be not our 50th time, but the 50th anniversary of that event. It was a European tour event for a good number of years. So 50th anniversary, we'll celebrate with them. And then, we did add two new events to our schedule, one being the Portugal Invitational, which is going to be hosted by Ernie Els and held at what's called Els Club Villamora. That's a golf course in Portugal, south on the coast. Great venue. It's such a great country, great food, great wine, great people. So we're really looking forward to that, which is the week after the Senior Open at Glen Eagles. So back to back, sort of in Europe there. And then later in the fall, we're going to play at in Allentown, with the Jefferson Lehigh Valley Classic, and new event for Allentown at Lehigh Country Club. It's going to be it's a great old venue, but Garrett, this is where relationships matter. So Nick Ragone, who used to be with Ascension Health, he left and he went to a new company called Jefferson Health. And one of his first phone calls was to me to say, I want to do Champions Tour event with you here. And I'm like, okay, great. Let's try to figure this out and find a date. And we were able to do that. But to me, that's why I say relationships matter if we're showing the value of our product to our sponsors.
Hmm. Well, and also too, I'm looking at the schedule. Mitsubishi Electric Classic is going to be Stableford scoring system again this year. What was kind of behind that, and how exciting is that for you guys?
Yeah, that's a great point. So, that Mitsubishi tournament at TPC Sugarloaf, Stuart Sink came to us and said, "Hey, we've talked about trying to do something different, different formats out here. We don't currently have a Stapleford. What if we did that, with Mitsubishi at Sugarloaf?" I'm like, that's a great idea. Let's make sure all the other players are on board, which they were. Everyone's excited to, change it up and do something different. And as he pointed out, that golf course, number 18 can be a risk reward hole, which is great. And then you have another drivable par 4 on the back 9. So probably a pretty good venue to play that type of format. And we're looking forward to, educating all the spectators and the television viewers as to why this is different.
Mm. You've also got other names that should be coming up eligible next year: Zach Johnson, Rory Sabatini, Ben Crane, number of guys. How excited are you for that?
Yeah, look, I mean, all good names that should come out here and hopefully have some immediate success. I've had a conversation with Zach Johnson about 10 days ago. He's looking forward to turning 50. He's still trying to figure out exactly what his schedule may look like as he jumps into it. And then actually Ben Crane, I ran into Ben last week in Little Rock at the Simmons Bank event. He was out there with some folks. And so he and I had a nice conversation about the Champions Tour. And I think he turns 50 in early March, and he can't wait. I think he's been playing on the Corn Ferry Tour a little bit to get ready. But Ben will be a good asset for us as well.
Yeah, always been a popular player on the PGA Tour with those guys in the locker room. So, a lot to look forward to for 2026. Hey, listen, good luck with the season finale coming up, and always good to see you here on the podcast here.
Yeah, Garrett, thanks for having me. Thanks for your support of the Champions Tour and letting everybody know how great it is. Thanks.